Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's your boy Jerome coming to you today with a recap for Claws. This is season 2, episode 2, and this episode was titled Cracker Casserole. So, without further ado, let's get into the recap. Okay, so this episode, it started out with Desna going over to Jen's house, basically to just let Jen know that, hey, Zlata's crazy ass gave me your house, and I ain't got no choice in the matter of, if I move in or move out, or don't move in. So once she gets there, Jen has her a guest there who happens to be her mother, who, when I was looking at her mama, I'm like, girl, your mama is fucked up. Like, is she an alcoholic? Is she a drug addict? What is she? Because, Jen was talking about her watching the kids and all that kind of stuff. And then she was talking about she'll take them wherever she's going, but she won't leave them in the car unless it's too hot. I'm like, nah, bitch. You ain't leaving my kids in the car, period, point blank. You ain't even finna watch my motherfucking kids. Like, no. No hole. You ain't watching my kids. So like I said, Desna comes over. She and Jen have a conversation. And, Desna's basically telling Jen that Zlata owns all of Uncle Daddy's assets. And then the light bulb kind of clicks in Jen's brain. Is like, she gave you my house, didn't she? And, Desna's like, yes, she did. And then, Jen is like, well, these are your nieces. This is your niece's house. And this is the first time that they've been in a good school district. But I could tell that, Desna was not going to put them out and make them go somewhere else. Basically, what Desna wants is said, hey, you and your kids, you and your girls stay here. But me and Dean are coming to live here as well. And we're going to just be one blended ass family. And, again, Jen is giving her some pushback on that shit. But I'm thinking the same thing that Desna was thinking in the same situation. Like, bitch, did you forget that Zlata shot her fucking sister in the face? Like, I'm not gonna fuck with that type of crazy. Like, hell nah. Like, bitch, get over yourself. We moving in. We're gonna be a blended family. Shut the fuck up. Sit down and, be happy that the bitch ain't trying to kill us. Like, really? Like, I know you want your house, but be happy that the whole ain't trying to kill you motherfucking asses. Just keep it real. So, we also get this scene where you have Uncle Daddy, Bryce, and you have Roller. I believe they were coming from the clinic, and they were walking to this ugly ass fucking station wagon. And, this is what they've been resorted to since, Zlata has taken over everything. And basically, Bryce comes up with the bright idea that, in order to bring Zlata down, they have to get some kind of intel that they can, use against her. And they're going to use Roller, to get that intel for them, since, Roller is now married into the family and all that kind of stuff. They feel like it'll be easier to use him, which I agree with that. Like, he's married to that little dumbass, young ass girl, so he can, smuggle a bug in there easily just to try to get some intel on Zlata. And then you also get this scene where you have Polly at the nail shop, and basically Polly is in one of her moods where she is, pretending to be somebody else. She's sitting there giving her little stripper boys their stripper names, and I'm like, oh my god, Polly is a fucking mess. Like, I love Polly to death. That girl kills me each and every week. And so while they're in the shop, you have Virginia and you got Quiet Ann. So Quiet Ann basically is asking Virginia, has she told her has she told Desna that she's pregnant by Dean? And Virginia's like, no, she hasn't told her that she's pregnant. And she's talking about, well, why do I have to tell Desna everything? Like, Desna don't run everything around here. But that is true. But you also are pregnant by her brother, who is autistic. So if with you being pregnant by an autistic man, which Dean is very smart, but he needs help taking care of himself, and you want him to have a baby. So I kind of understood where Quiet Ann was coming from, that you do need to tell her that you're pregnant. But I really find Virginia quite odd when it comes to her and Dean. It's like, I felt like Virginia was using Dean for his dick. But, maybe Virginia does love Dean. Who knows? And I also forgot to mention that, so Jen was talking to Bryce. Basically, Jen wants to work things out with Bryce, but Bryce is not on the same page as Jen right now, because last week when Zlata showed him that video of her and the rabbi having sex, and then her giving her rabbi a rim job, which I did not know that's what happened. I'm like, ugh, you got a rabbi? Wait a minute, you gave a rabbi a rim job? Okay, interesting. And Jen's mom is not here for Desna moving into her house, and I'm like, listen here, old bitch, mind your motherfucking business. You are a guest. Like, go to sleep. For real. Like, you are a fucking guest in this house. You ain't got no kind of say so whatsoever, bitch. So, mind your motherfucking business and go to bed, ho. Go to bed. Shout out to Bondi Blue. And then also you get this scene where you have Zlata and you have Desna. They're at the clinic. And basically Desna is giving Zlata a tour of the clinic. And Zlata's talking about opening, I believe she said she want to open up 10 more clinics and all that kind of stuff. But first they have to increase the traffic flow at the current clinic, which Desna now has to figure out what to do with that one. I'm like, damn, bitch, like, you just come in here and now you trying to, open up more clinics and you talking about more traffic? Like, what the fuck? Like, if you want something done yourself, if you want something done right, do it yourself. But you know what? This crazy Russian bitch shot her sister in the face. So shut your mouth and call me Sue. Alright, so we are back at the shop, and this is where Desna is basically telling the girls that, Zlata is putting the pressure on her to get more traffic into the clinic. And, this is where Jen is letting them know that, hey, Zlata showed Bryce a video of me giving the rabbi a rim job, and I was like, oh, that was funny as fuck to me. Like, wait a minute, I'm trying to figure out, how did she get the video of them having sex? Like, I'm still confused about it. Like, where was that camera at, and how did they not know that there was a camera there recording them while they fucking? Like, okay. And, while they're in the shop, this is when Virginia decides that she wants to tell Desna that she is in fact pregnant, which I died laughing. Because Desna didn't give a flying fuck that Virginia was pregnant, because she was really trying to beat that bitch's ass. Like, she chased her out into the parking lot again and was trying to kick her ass. So, basically Virginia goes, once they calmed everything down, Virginia tells Desna that she is getting an abortion. And then, Desna goes off on her again about, like, damn, you stupid bitch. You're pregnant by him and now you want to get an abortion. And she lets her know that, well, the abortion is all Dean's idea, that he planned everything. And I'm like, well, wow, Dean is a very smart person. Again, Dean is very smart. And the guy that plays Dean, he does a phenomenal job to me. Like, he deserves an Academy Award, an Oscar, or whatever, a Golden Globe, an Emmy, whatever he deserves. But he deserves that shit because he does a fantastic job playing Dean. Like, I'm really convinced that he does have autism and all that kind of stuff. And so we also get this scene where Desna goes home and she's talking to Dean. And, again, Dean is a very smart guy. Desna's trying to go off on him about keeping secrets from her about Virginia being pregnant. And, Dean is like, well, you keep secrets from me. You're not telling me what's going on with the Russians and all that kind of stuff. And then, Desna's trying to play it off like it's nothing. But she kind of tells him a little bit, but she doesn't tell him everything. And that's, again, one of the things about Dean. He's very smart and he's very intuitive. He, you might not think he is paying attention to where everything is going around, but Dean is very smart. So, he's, like I said, he's a really smart guy. And then you get this scene where you got the little Russian bitch. I'm sorry, but was that little girl raping Roller? Like, because I know she was on top of Roller riding him. And I'm like, Roller is not even into this shit. Like, she's just sitting on top of him, riding him and getting herself off, but Roller ain't getting off. I'm like, oh, God, that is nasty as fuck. That's worse than a fucking wedding. I'm like, ew. So once she gets finished, little bitch rolls over and drinks from her juice box. I'm like, oh, God, you got to be fucking joking me. She's drinking from a juice box, and then she's going to sit here and ask him, do he want to play a video game? I'm like, well, damn, it just got worse. It goes from worse to worse to worser. Like, what the fuck? She's raping him, basically. She drinks from a juice box, and then this bitch is talking about playing some video games. And then, the baby starts crying, so she goes to feed the baby, and that's when Roller gets up and goes and with the bug, that he and Uncle Daddy and Bryce came up with to plant to try to get information on Zlata. So I'm interested to see how this is gonna work out, because that bitch is a Luna motherfucking tick. And I also forgot to mention that when when Roller was in Zlata's office planting that bug on her, that was when Desna and Zlata were walking around. And, basically Desna came up with the bright idea that in order to increase the traffic in the clinic, they need to come up with a commercial. So Zlata gives her the okay to do her commercial. All right, so then you get this scene where you have Jen, and she's going to talk to the rabbi. So when she goes to talk to the rabbi, basically this is Jen trying to end things with him. But when she's sitting there talking to him, I don't know if he wasn't reciprocating what she was saying, or if he just didn't give a shit what she was saying. That basically, she wants to work on her marriage, and there's nothing that's going to go on between she and the rabbi. And again, like I said, I don't know if he was reciprocating what the fuck she was saying, or he was just like, fuck you, I want what I want, and I don't give a fuck. But I really didn't understand. I mean, I got where Jen was coming from, but I just don't believe that he was listening to her, because he was talking about that square dancing, or whatever dancing that they were doing. And I'm like, hello, bitch, married? Like, she's married, right? Well, I mean, she's married because her husband tried to whoop your ass. So whatever with that one. I mean, why would you want to go square dancing with a woman that you fucked and her husband tried to kick your ass? Quite interesting, if you ask me. And then at the clinic you have Desna there, and she's telling Dr. Ken that they're going to do a commercial, and then Dr. Ken is so reluctant to want to do the commercial. He's talking about how he doesn't want to do it and all this kind of stuff, but Desna's not really asking him to do the commercial. Basically, Desna's telling them, bitch, your fat ass is going to do this commercial. I don't give a fuck what you say. You're doing it. You're going to like it and get the fuck over it. And, while they're at the clinic, Polly's there with her. And, since Desna is actually moving in with Jen, Polly asks Desna, hey, since you're moving in with Jen, is it okay if me and Marnie move into your house? And, she tells her, yeah. And then while they're talking about the commercial, basically Polly wants to be the director of this shit. And I'm like, oh my God, here we go with Polly and these multiple motherfucking personalities. I'm like, love her, love her. Bitch is crazy as fuck. With cause her personalities give me life each and every episode. For real. And then you also had this scene where you have Quiet Ann, you have Dean, and you have Virginia. They are going to an abortion clinic. And they get to the abortion clinic, and it's crowded by nothing but angry ass protesters. So they get out the car, they saying, oh, you shouldn't do this, you need to get married and all this kind of stuff. And then they go into the clinic, and Dean gives an excuse as to why he can't be in there with Virginia. He's going to go get some paper or something from the store across the street. I don't forget what he said he was going to get, but he leaves her, and she's in there with Quiet Ann. So while she's in there with Quiet Ann, basically Virginia is just kind of having a little bit of second thoughts with everything. And, she asks Quiet Ann how everybody feels about her at the shop. And they do a screen where they have all the women in the shop talking about her and all that kind of stuff. And basically they all was talking shit about her. And, Quiet Ann was the only one that kind of defended her, because Quiet Ann was talking about how she had a baby and her parents gave the baby away. So at the end of it, she basically told Virginia that everybody's on her side, because I guess she realized that Virginia was kind of having second thoughts about doing this shit. So, then Virginia decides to go through with it. And once everything is all done, that's when Dean comes back in with a ring pop, and he gives it to Virginia. And, Virginia's sitting there, eating on the ring pop, and Dean gets down on his knee and basically asks Virginia to marry him, which Virginia agrees to marry him. I'm like, oh my God, Virginia. Like, what the I'm like, really, Virginia, you want Desmond you really want Desmond to kill your ass, right? Like, she told you not to slip and fall on Dean's dick. You did that. You got pregnant by Dean. Now you're having an abortion. Now your ass is sitting here gonna marry him. Like, what the fuck, Virginia? Like, I was confused as fuck. But so once they leave out the clinic, they tell the protesters like, we getting married. Actually, they says we're getting married. And then the one was like, our prayers have been answered. And she's like, oh, bitch, we still killed that baby. I was like, oh my God, like what the fuck? But that shit was that was funny as fuck to me. Alright, so then you get the day of the commercial. So you have Desna, you have everybody at the clinic getting ready for it. Everybody has their roles. Jen was the writer. Polly was the director. I don't know what Virginia and Quiet Ann and Dean were. I don't know what their roles were. I actually forgot. Really did. Sorry. So like I said, they're at the clinic getting ready for the shoot. Dr. Ken, he's there. He's reading the script that Jen wrote. And Dr. Ken really ain't feeling this script that Jen wrote because he said it just doesn't feel like him. And I'm like, it better feel like you. Like, the fuck? Like, that bitch Zlata is crazy. Like, I don't give a fuck what you gotta do. Make that script you, Dr. Ken. Hell, if you got a fucking ad-lib, motherfucker. Don't give a fuck. Like, do what you gotta do. The woman that was doing his makeup, that bitch was shading the shit out of him, talking about how the camera adds 10 pounds to you. She said, well, in your case, somebody had 20 pounds. I'm like, God damn. I'm like, Dr. Ken ain't that fucking fat. But I died laughing when that bitch kept shading the shit out of Dr. Ken. I'm like, damn. Poor Dr. Ken. He can't win for losing. And also you had this scene where you got Roller talking to Zlata. She was trying to find a job for him. And she had her guy there, and she basically told him to give Roller a tour of a layout of the land, so to speak. And he tells him to take his clothes off, and I'm like, he gotta take his clothes off just to walk around the land? Like, like no, like I don't want to walk around with you seeing your dick and balls. Like the fuck, hell no. But you have Uncle Daddy and you got Bryce out there in the car listening to everything that's going on because of the bug that Roller put in the office. And you can hear Roller in there screaming and groaning and all that kind of stuff. So Uncle Daddy and Bryce think that he's been tortured and all this kind of shit. And when they're out there in the car, they were talking about Auntie Mommy. I'm like, Uncle Daddy and Auntie Mommy, like what the fuck? Uncle Daddy was talking about that was the only person he had been with for he had been with her for 34 years. That was longer than he had any hair. I'm like, oh my God. And then I'm like, well, how long have you been with Toby? Because we're not even gonna mention Toby. I'll mention Toby a little bit later. That shit was funny to me about Toby. But so like I said, they thought Roller was being tortured, but actually he was in there getting a massage. And I'm like, I knew it was something. I'm like, Roller is not being tortured. I'm like, they're doing something to Roller in a good way, not a bad way. So back at the clinic, you have them filming the commercial, and you have Dr. Ken doing this commercial. Dr. Ken was fucking up hardcore. Like Desna kept having to say cut. I'm like, God damn. I'm like, y'all give Dr. Ken a break. Like, he's scared, but I was like, oh, come on, Dr. Ken. You know you can do this, you fat fuck. Like, come on. Alright, so back at the clinic, after Dr. Ken has repeatedly messed up the commercial for the umpteenth time, Desna comes up with the bright ass idea that, hey, she told Polly to get her dancer boys, and she came up with the idea, and she basically made the commercial into a little dance music video where she had the dancers dancing and she had Dr. Ken dancing. So they finished that up, and it's a rap and all that kind of stuff. And they look at the video, they're looking at it online, but when they looked at it, nothing had happened from it. They didn't get any retweets, any posts or nothing like that. But while they're sitting there, they did get a retweet and all that kind of stuff. So they basically take that over to Zlata, and Zlata is actually happy with Desna and all that kind of stuff. So I'm like, hey, Desna, go. I'm like, you go. Like, I feel like at some point Desna will break free from Zlata. I just don't know when that's coming, but I do feel like she's gonna break free from that crazy bitch at some point. And then you have Uncle Daddy. He punched Roller, But, Roller did find out some good intel for Uncle Daddy. He found out that Zlata is wanting to open up 10 more clinics and that she's getting her coke from the Colombians, which could be a big help to them with trying to take her down and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, Roller, you did good. Like, you didn't fuck up completely, but you're still a fuck up. Like, you're still a big fuck up. Okay, and then you also have Jen. She is at the doing the do-si-do with the Russian guy, not the Russian guy, with the rabbi. And while she's doing this dance with the rabbi, basically Jen is just hallucinating and all this kind of stuff. She's hearing stuff from the music and all that kind of stuff, and she's believing that she's seeing Bryce and all this kind of stuff. So it's throwing her off of her game completely. And the whole group, everybody is there in support of her. So a fan of Dr. Ken's came up there because she saw the commercial and she started flirting with Dr. Ken because she's talking about, she was in pain and all that kind of stuff. So Dr. Ken gave her his business card so that, she could come to the clinic and all this kind of stuff. And I had to shake my head so badly at this scene. I'm like, Polly, are you really at this table giving Dr. Ken a motherfucking hand job? Like, oh my God. Like, really, girl, you ain't got no shame in your game. Like, okie dokie. And then you go over to Uncle Daddy's house. You have Jen's mom coming over there to feed Bryce. And she's trying to get him and Jen to get back together and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, why are you doing this? I was really confused by that. Like, I'm like, are you in this for money or something like that? Like, her mom I feel like her mom has an ulterior motive with trying to get Jen back with Bryce and all this kind of stuff. Because that's what she's talked about this whole episode, was Jen and Bryce getting back together. And then outside you have Uncle Daddy and you got Desna's doctor boyfriend out there. And they're having a conversation about Zlata and all this kind of stuff. And, while they're having this conversation, that's when Jen and them come over there. And Jen comes up to the door. And she's screaming and whatnot, and I was like, oh shit, like, it's too soon. Like, is Desna about to find out that her man is here working, dealing with Uncle Daddy now and all this kind of stuff? But she didn't. She did talk to him on the phone and telling him how she want to come over and have sex with him. And I'm like, you don't hear that shit? Because because when Jen went in there, she asked Roller where Bryce was. And he told her about her mama coming over there cooking for him and all that kind of stuff. So she goes up to the room, and there was her mama on her knees giving Bryce head. And I'm like, oh, shit. I'm like, you ain't trying to get them back together. Like, you trying to get some dick for yourself. Like, come on, you old hoe. Like, really? So, once Jen sees that, that's when she hauls off and whoops her own mama's ass. And I'm like, oh. And that's why I was like, Desna didn't hear, you could hear Jen screaming and I'm like, you don't hear Jen screaming on his phone either, but maybe Desna didn't hear it, I don't know. But, they all run inside and then they all just start fighting with each other. I'm like, oh God. And then this is why I started laughing earlier about Toby. He comes in there and I'm like, what the fuck does Toby have on? Like, oh my God. But that shit was funny. And, once they finish fighting, they go out, they all leave. And, Jen just kind of breaks down because her mom done sat there and sucked her man's dick. So that was Claus. Leave your comments, like the video, and subscribe to my channel. And I will see you guys later.